Welcome back, students. So now we will just go through the book. See the skin proper and epidermis layer. So as I told you, it is divided into three sublayers: outermost cornified, middle granular, and inner Malpighian layer. Cornified layer is made up of flattened dead cell, which are further made up of keratin. And granular layer is a very thin middle layer, which is made up of three sublayers of flattened cells. And Malpighian layer, the germinative layer, which is comprises of actively dividing cells. Now the next is the coloration of the skin. As you know that coloration of the skin varies. This variation is due to the pigment melanin. These pigmented cells, the cells which contain pigment, are present in the Malpighian layer itself. And the different quantities of this pigment in different races, it shows the variety of coloration in the races. For example, some have very dark color skin, some have very wheatish, or some have whitish. Accordingly, this is genetically also, as well as there can be some diseases we will study just now. Genetically, the coloration depends upon the type of melanocytes, that is the melanin containing cells, pigmenting cells in the Malpighian layer. So there are two abnormal conditions of skin pigmentation. The first one is leukoderma. It is also called vitiligo. Leukoderma, here the skin pigmentation melanin, that is the melanin pigment, is lost from some patches from the different regions of the body. And you might have seen in some people, they have some pinkish patches on their body. And what is the cause is still under study. And this disease is called leukoderma. The second is albinism. Albinism is complete loss of pigmentation of the skin all over the body. That is including the hair, eyebrows, and even the eyelashes, right? And this is basically a genetic disorder. So in higher classes you will read about genetics, in not higher classes, in 10th class itself. That time we will study about this. So you have to remember that there are two skin related diseases. One is leukoderma and the other one is albinism. Leukoderma is a condition in which the pigment is lost in the form of patches, whereas in albinism there is complete loss of the skin pigment. Now let us move on to the next skin layer, that is dermis. So as I told you, dermis is the inner layer to the epidermis, and it is inner thick layer of connective tissue, and it is made up of elastic fibers, that is protein fibers, which are tough and flexible. At certain places the skin is thick, for example in the palms and in the soles of your feet, and at some places like around the eyelids it is quite thin. And this layer contains several blood vessels, nerve fibers, sensory organs, hair follicles, sweat glands, etc. So this is shown in the diagram itself. This all is your dermis layer. Fine. Now the outer region of the dermis. The outer region of the dermis, which lies next to the epidermis, is raised into numerous small processes called papillae. These are the papillae. As I told you, these have many ridges and grooves this way. And it receives the nerve endings and blood capillaries. The nerve endings and sense organs here are concerned with sensations of touch and pain. Basically, this region has the receptors or the cells which take the stimulus for touch and the pain. Fine. And there are some more sense receptors in the deeper parts. These sense receptors are basically of pressure, pain, heat, and cold. And that is why we are able to feel all these things, because our skin has the receptor cells, various types of receptors. Now let us come on to progress check. So first is name the three sublayers of epidermis from outer to inner. So outermost corneum or the stratum corneum, and then middle layer, which is called granular layer, and the inner layer is Malpighian layer. Now write true or false. Stratum corneum is made of dead cells having keratin. This is true. Malpighian layer is hard and resistant to bacterial invasion. True. Pigment melanin, which imparts coloration to the skin, is found in the Malpighian layer. This is also true. and the dermis is very thick on palms and soles. This is also true. Okay, now let us come on to the derivatives of the skin. So we have the derivatives of the skin as hair, nails, the sebaceous glands, which are called the oil glands, sweat glands, and mammary glands. So one by one there is a short description given about all these derivatives. First is hair. A hair consists of three parts. Hair shaft is the part which projects from the skin and may extend slightly below the surface of the epidermis. In normal situation, they lie obliquely to the skin. So you can see here, this part is the hair shaft. Normally they are in oblique position, but sometimes you might have felt the goosebumps, isn't it? When your hairs become straight, vertical, this is basically due to the hair erector muscles. These are the erector muscles which pull the hair obliquely from oblique position to straight position, and the skin also appears little wrinkled. Fine. Then there is a hair root. This is the hair root, which is the part embedded in the dermis. The hair root is expanded to form hair bulb, which contains a projection of the dermis called hair papilla. So all these structures are clear from the diagram. As you can see, this is the hair shaft. Then coming down, this is the hair bulb, and these are the hair follicles, the cells which form the new hair cells. Now next is the hair follicle is a structure enclosing the hair root. It is composed of an epithelial and connective tissue sheath. So hair bulb and the hair follicle together, they are responsible for the growth and elongation of hair. The growth of hair occurs by addition of cells at the base. So at the base, new cells are formed, and they soon lose their nuclei, and they become dead, and they rise. They are pushed forward. The color of the hair is again due to varying quantities of melanin, again the pigment containing cells. So accordingly, when the cells lose the pigmentation, they may change the color to grey or silvery hair. Okay. Then the next is about the goose flesh, which you experience during winters, and this in biological terms we call it pillow erection, pillow hair, and the surface of the skin presents a somewhat contracted and wrinkled appearance. This is caused, as I told you, due to the erector muscles which are associated with the hair, and they run obliquely between hair follicle and outer part of the dermis. The contraction of the muscle at one end pulls the hair to somewhat vertical position, and thus the epidermis shows little depressions. Then they have shown that hair in human beings are continuously lost and regrown. The duration of scalp 2 to 5 years, and from eyebrows and eyelashes 3 to 5 months. Hair also provides sensation of touch because nerve fibers extend up to their bases. So that is why when we pull the hair, we can feel the sensation. Then there is a difference in the type of the hair, like on the eyelashes, inside the nose, nostrils, facial hairs in human males. They help to distinguish the male and female characters like that. The next is nails. Now nails are the hardened keratinized plate-like structures which grow as dead cells from the nail root. So nails also have three parts. These three parts are plate, bed, and matrix. Plate is the hard and outer part of the nail. It is made up of dead keratinized cells. So the part which you can see, that is the plate. Then beneath the plate you have bed, that is actually the root. It lies below the nail plate. And then third part is matrix. It lies just below the skin surface at the base of the nail. It is usually visible as whitish half moon at the base of the nail. You can see your nails if you find the whitish part over here, that is the matrix. And then it produces new cells which on maturation push out the older cells towards the tip of the nail, and this causes the growth of the nails. The third derivative is sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands you have already studied. They are also known as the oil glands. They secrete oily secretion and which is called sebum. this not only makes your skin oily but also waterproof, so that the epidermis is prevented from the loss of the water by evaporation. And in cold and dry weather, the skin may become rough, and you have seen scratchy skin. It is due to reduced secretion of oil from the sebaceous glands. And some people have more sebaceous glands, their skin will become oily, and if there are less sebaceous glands, then the skin appears to be dry. So there are three common problems related with sebaceous glands. This you need to study. One is pimples, then acne and blackheads. Pimples, sebum accumulation. This is due to when the oil accumulates and there occurs the growth of bacteria. So growth of bacteria on this along with the sebum, that is oil, it results in the formation of boil, and this is called pimple. Second is acne. Acne are produced due to hormonal influence. Sebaceous glands get inflamed. Inflammation of sebaceous glands, that is oil glands, causes acne. This is common in adolescence because during adolescence the hormonal secretion is maximum, so that is why we can the acne can appear on the skin for a short period of time. Then blackhead. Sebaceous glands on the face get enlarged due to accumulated sebum. Again, due to accumulated sebum, accumulation of oil, and on oxidation, when it reacts with oxygen, the melanin and sebum, they give it black color, and this we give the name as blackhead. You can see the black dots, very small black dots, we call them blackheads. So just remember, pimples are caused due to the growth of bacteria along with the oil glands, that is sebum. Acne due to hormonal imbalance, and third is under the hormonal influence, acne is produced, and blackheads due to the accumulation of sebum and oxidation of melanin. Now the next two, that is sweat glands and mammary glands. Sweat glands, you all know we have number of sweat glands in the skin, and each sweat gland has a duct, we call it sweat duct. These glands, they produce the sweat. Sweat is nothing but it is the accumulation of water, salts and very little urea. So sweating or perspiration, it is also known as perspiration, goes on at all times in minute quantities, but it may increase during strenuous exercise or during hot and humid weather. Okay, so sweat consists of, as I told you, water, which is 99%, 0.2 to 0.5% salts, and traces of urea. Then the last one is mammary glands. The mammary glands are also known as milk glands. They are present in both males and females, but in males they are present in rudimentary form, that is non-functional, whereas in females they are functional glands. So each mammary gland produces this, the activity of mammary gland is related to the reproductive hormones, and learn the name of the hormone, that is prolactin. Please underline in your book prolactin. And during pregnancy, after pregnancy, this under the influence of prolactin hormone, milk is secreted from the mammary glands. Then apart from these, you have two more glands. These are meibomian glands and ceruminous glands. These are also very important. Meibomian glands are modified sebaceous glands which are present on the margins of the eyelids. Please underline margins of the eyelids, and their secretion, oily secretion, helps to lubricate the margins of the eyelids. Okay, and they also prevent the overflow of tears. And ceruminous glands are modified oil glands which are present in the ears, and they secrete cerumen, or we call ear wax. So ear wax or cerumen. And meibomian glands in the eyelids and ceruminous glands in the ear, which produce ear wax. So this was all about the derivatives of the skin. So you have studied various glands. Now let us quickly go through the progress check. So here we have matchups. So you can just match the following. Air spaces. So air spaces, gray hair, mammary glands, rudimentary in males, goose flesh, hair, traces of urea, sweat, more numerous sweat pores, races of hot countries, and oily secretion, sebaceous glands. How do hairs provide the sensation of touch? This you have just now studied. Hairs provide sensation of touch because they have the nerve fibers, the endings of the nerve fibers, they extend up to their bases. That is why we can feel or we can have the sensation. The next question is, how is the outer surface of the skin made waterproof? Outer surface of the skin is made waterproof due to the oily secretion from the sebum, which is called sebum, from the sebaceous glands, which keeps our skin oily and waterproof. Okay, so this much you revise. By the time we will be back with the next video.